Jennifer, welcome to Broadband.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And as we are talking today, we're having the snow apocalypse here in Rhode Island. Are you guys expecting like a foot or something?
Yep, quite a bit. Maybe not as much as, maybe not as much as you, but definitely a lot.
So we'll see. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. But, the weather's so unpredictable. But I love the snow since I don't have to drive in it, right?
Yeah, right.
So let's start off with, what is your business?
My company is the production house. I'm a video producer, and I create videos primarily for corporate and commercial, nonprofit, and weddings. I initially started out doing a lot of weddings in my younger years and then shifted over as it became a full-time business to do more corporate, commercial, and nonprofit.
How long have you been doing it?
I have been doing this since graduating college in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, I started with the weddings for years on the side until eventually moving full-time in 2015.
Okay. I don't know if I shared this with you in one of our earlier conversations, but I had about a 10-second career in wedding video.
Oh, no.
My former brother-in-law and I thought, oh, we got a VHS camera. And so why don't we start a wedding video business? And so a friend of mine was getting married and had a big to-do event and hired us to do the video. God help us. Oh my God. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. But in any event, it was during the arrival of the wedding party at the reception that for some reason we forgot to turn the audio on. It was some kind of technology where you had to make sure both was on. Mm-hmm. So all the people were coming in and you couldn't hear them. And we were not editing geniuses, so we couldn't let's just make that B-roll, as you say in the business. But anyway, that was the one and only wedding video I've ever done. And hence I got into radio. So there you have it. But enough about me. Let's get back to you. Tell us why you picked this trade or this business to get into.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was one of those people that was lucky enough to know at a pretty young age that I wanted to be involved in filmmaking. I knew that from the time I was like 13, 14 years old. And it was really a profound moment in my life. I literally made the connection watching a movie and said, that's what I want to do. I want to create that. Wow. And so it became my goal to go to college and get a degree in film production. And even all while I was in high school, my parents got me a video camera, and I was that kid running around with a video camera, filming my friends and anything and everything. So I always knew that I wanted to do it. The challenge was at that time, in order to really get a job or a career in it, you had to be in a metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. I'm from small town New Hampshire. I wasn't really at a point in my life where I was going to move off to the big city where a lot of the people that I went to school with, that's what they did. And so I started out by doing weddings because that I could do here. It was a relatively new thing. And I could do it on weekends while I was working my other full-time job. But as time went on, it's my passion. It's my calling. I knew that I had to really make a living at it, and technology and everything really took off in 2008 with the internet and the ability to connect with so many other people and businesses. Businesses needed more video, and it just was, it was just the right time to get more into it.
It's fascinating how the technology has changed so much. I mean, again, I have a background in radio, but I did work at a public access center in Gresham, Oregon. And, it was a television station, if you will. And it had all the fancy cameras and all the lighting gels and is it Final Cut Pro? Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Fancy pants, Final Cut Pro, and all the really state of the art stuff.
Yeah.
And it was we mere mortals, we don't know how to use that's a lot of buttons on that camera. But what was interesting is in getting something like a Zoom video camera, right? Mm-hmm. So and then to be able to use something like iMovie, right? Yeah. So it not to diminish the skill set and the level of work that's required to do professional videos.
Right.
I have to wonder, do you think that's added to a challenge as a video person, a filmmaker, that the technology makes it, quote, so much easier? Has that change had an impact on your business?
Certainly, it's much more accessible to a lot more people. And I think there's a place for that. Especially when it comes to business, a lot of businesses need to be doing video on a regular basis. They don't necessarily need to hire me to do that video for them. They can learn how to do some things for themselves in-house. But it also does mean that you kind of have to stand out in the noise, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a challenge, but something that I'm always personally striving to get better at and to do. And that comes back to not only gear, equipment, but your skill set as a storyteller. So that's something that really takes a lot of work, a lot of practice, fine-tuning your craft that I'm constantly working on. And that's not something that just anyone with a camera, access to gear and equipment is going to know how to do. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because there is an art, a craft, and a science, and some things might come intuitively to some folks, but there's a lot of pieces of it. It's not just one dimensional. There's a lot of pieces to it, and whether you're a good interviewer or not good interviewer, or not a good storyteller, or don't have the technology awareness and stuff like that, it's and it takes a lot of time. Don't even get me started on that, right?
Right? Sure does.
So what are some of the other reasons why a business would reach out to you, say as opposed to your competitor, that makes your business and your service stand out?
Well, there are a couple things. And I quite honestly would encourage people to really shop around when they are looking for someone, because I want to make sure that what I offer, my skills and my values align with their values and what they're looking for, and that we're a good match in that way. And a lot of it comes down to style. I have a particular way of doing things that's a style that isn't going to resonate with every client or business, and somebody else out there might. I believe there's room for everyone. I look at it as like I'm an artist. I create, and so not everybody's going to like the same painting, and totally different styles. So I think that style, so that matching, plus overall experience. I'm a very people-oriented person. And the number one thing I think my clients would say is that the process was so simple in creating their project, that they felt comfortable, which to me is super important. They're going to get the best finished product if they feel comfortable in the process. But that comes down to your interpersonal skills. And that's going to be different depending on who you're working with.
And that is a skill indeed, right?
Yeah,
it is indeed. And, folks get really nervous about being on camera. And we have a mutual friend, Erica Stewart from
Yes,
so,
love Erica, yes.
He talks about that. People get really nervous in front of the camera, about how they're going to be captured or how they look. Right. And that's one of the things that she does, is really make sure that she is having her client feel comfortable and enjoying the experience. So that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's take a little time travel. Let's say you could go back to your younger self as you're contemplating, becoming a business owner. What kind of advice would you give yourself?
There's probably tons of advice I would give myself. As a business owner, I think that I would just, and still do this, but even in the past would just keep saying, you can do it. You've got what it takes. And you always need to kind of have that right in your line of vision and never forget that.
Having the confidence to believe in yourself that you've got it. It can get a little harrowing at points, you know what I mean? And do you ever face imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah. A lot. Yeah, a lot. I know, right?
For you, girl.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Especially when I started venturing into the corporate world, commercial world, because I work with one of the largest companies in the United States. They have over 50 facilities throughout the country. And I'm constantly going into their facilities and working with their teams and their executives to create a series of videos. And so, yeah, I'm always like, how did I get here? Should I be here?
Yeah.
But
And you should be there because you are.
that's right. Yeah.
So let's say you could go 5 years into the future. What do you think your future self would share with you when you bumped into yourself? I don't know how that would work, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. My future self. I think that it would be just reiterating the fact that it's really important to build community. Community is so important, especially when you work in the creative world. You're inspired by other people. So not only building community, but ensuring that it's the right community to support you and help you and inspire you.
Yeah. Speaking of which, who has inspired you professionally?
Excellent question. So, and this ties a lot into my personal professional development. There is a production company, Use Storytelling, and they have offered a lot of courses and classes for other fellow filmmakers, and their philosophies really align with my own personally. And they've recently started a collective of which I am now part of. And so it's really cool to be able to interact on a daily basis with these people who are creating really amazing, wonderful work that I aspire to create.
That's cool. Having peers to learn from, and if you're having a tough time or coming up against a struggle, they're there for you. And also, I would assume when some really cool stuff happens, they're there to cheer you on and say, well done. How do you personally celebrate your wins?
Well, I think I probably could always be better at that. But I generally, I usually call my boyfriend up when he's at work, and he's also a business owner, but his days are he's very, very busy. So I don't often call him, but when I have a win, I call him up to tell him, and he's super supportive and very happy for me. So that's usually what I do.
Cool. Well, yeah. I would emphasize and echo, do more.
I know.
Running your own business, it just can some days, stretch you very thin. And so there's more of that running to get stuff done as opposed to kicking back and relaxing and celebrating the win. So I hear you on that. I call my friends, if something really great happens, or my daughter, I'll text her. She doesn't really care, but she's a teenager. So. But she's my family, so I tell her.
Right.
So she is stuck with mama, sending her text messages about the wins. If you were having a conversation with someone and they're like, I was thinking of doing some kind of filmmaking business or a business, what have you, what kind of advice could you share with them about starting a business that you wish you had known?
Kind of advice? Well, to just do it, number one, to get past that, all this self-doubt and everything, just go for it. And the number one thing I would say is it's a constant learning process. So you just need to go into it with that in mind. You aren't going to nail everything right off the bat. No one does. So just understand that everything that happens, everything you do, you're going to have the opportunity to learn from it and to grow. And that's just part of the process, and to accept that and sort of roll with it.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, everyone's kind of going on the same journey, but differently.
Right. Yep.
You have to cut yourself some slack, but you have to take some chances and risks and believe in yourself. So right on.
Yep.
What would you say surprised you the most as a business owner?
That surprised me the most. Surprised me the most. Well, that's a tough one. I think it would probably be that I'm such a collaborative type person. I'll be anybody's biggest champion. I like to see other people succeed. I think what surprises me when other people don't necessarily wholeheartedly embrace that mentality. And so that's been a little bit of I've had to learn that not everyone does. And so,
Yeah.
So, learning that and understanding it and seeing that for what it is.
Yeah. Not to take it personally, just people.
Right. Yeah.
Some people like to do their own thing, and right on. I'm a collaborator too, so
yeah.
I definitely recognize that spirit.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the word ambition? And would you say you're ambitious?
I'm incredibly ambitious.
And yet so quiet and mild-mannered. No, I'm teasing. I'm totally teasing.
No, you're right. I'm an ambitious. It's funny, I was just having a conversation with someone this morning about my weekend and asking how my weekend went. And I said, good, but I was just doing tasks all weekend long. Like I have this massive list of tasks to accomplish. And no matter how many times I try to tell myself that you can only do so much and it's okay that you can only do so much, I never seem to be able to let go of that. And so I am, constantly making my lists, my to-dos, and always trying to tackle them. Ambition plays a large role in my life and how my everyday goes. It really guides my day from day to day.
Getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Are you more of a every little bit counts kind of person or an all or nothing? I'm feeling now after that last response, all or nothing, but
yeah. It probably depends on in what regard or what it is. I definitely am a believer in you need to take steps to get to where you're at, for sure. And you need to recognize, like you said, when you have those wins, when you have done that. I know that's realistically the way it should go. Probably that's a little bit against my nature because I probably am an all or nothing person. And that has to do with I'm an incredibly passionate person. So I tend to be like really, way over the top or like, yeah. So I have to work hard at finding that sort of need. Yeah.
Great. Can you tell us what was the bravest thing you've ever done in your life?
The bravest thing. Yeah. So this is totally unrelated, but I'm a very artsy person. I love music, going to shows and concerts. And back in 2012, I think I came across this independent artist online somehow. She was barely known. And I saw that I heard her song on the internet, saw she was going to be playing at Cafe 939, the Red Room at Berklee College of Music. And it's 2 hours away from me. It was 9:00 at night in the middle of the week. And I said, I'm going down there and I'm going to see this woman perform. So I drive all the way down there. Didn't get there till almost 10 o'clock because we were so late getting there. But watched her performance. And it was at Cafe 939 is a very intimate venue. So it's really, you can only have like 30 people standing room kind of thing. So after the show, I went up to her. Her name is Elizabetta, and she signed my CD. And I said, I drove 2 hours to come and see you. And she was just blown away. Well, I know, right? Fast forward to 2014. she was looking for people to sing in a choir for her. So I actually sang in a choir on one of her songs. But not only that, she asked me and a few of the other people to actually go and perform on stage with her in New York City. So I got to see. I know, right? Yeah, so cool. And now she's very famous. She did the theme song for that show, Heroes. Yeah.
That's a great story. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it illustrates a really important thing about, it isn't like fate or opportunity is going to be just knocking at your door and you open it and there you have your list of options. You have to get out of the house or, figuratively or literally, to take some chances, because even though it might not even make any sense, but what a great story and what a great experience. That's so cool.
Yeah. And the fact that I made the trip to New York City, which is 4 hours away, to stand on stage with her to sing one song,
That's so cool. That's a good story. It was worth it.
Yeah.
How much time do you devote to professional development?
I probably on a weekly basis, I would say anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. Which has certainly increased a lot. I've made it a big priority in the past year. So it's a big priority. So.
And do you have any recommendations on some of those tools, resources, whether it's blogs, books, what have you?
Yeah, it's very specific to my industry. So it really is this community that I was talking about before, the collective, and all the classes and live events that they have every week. There's opportunities to do many a week, and I try to get to the ones that I can. But it's very specific to, storytelling, filmmaking.
Okay, cool. And could you share with us your number one tool that you use as a business owner?
My Google Calendar. Google Calendar, seriously.
I think we all use the Google now.
Yeah. And all the other apps that integrate with it.
The Google Suite.
Yeah. And, having those systems in place, your client management, yes, that is so critical. I mean, I've been using those things for several years now, but prior to that, I didn't have a system. And at that time, it wasn't really big enough that it became too problematic. But now automation just makes so many things easier, less time consuming, and I rely on them. Absolutely rely on them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Google Calendar, namely because of using Calendly.
Yes, yeah, I use that too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, love the Calendly. And then I use Google Drive for each one of my client accounts. So all our work is in there, and then they can access it real time. And one of my favorite things is it's free.
Right. Yes.
Just call me Frugal Franny, because that's who I am. But I also believe you should pay for things that make sense. So Calendly, for example, if listeners are not familiar with it, it's a calendar app that integrates with your online calendar of choice. In our cases, we use Google, and then people can set up time to meet you, and it's not this back and forth on email. And then it can also integrate with your Zoom, which is a very important app during these days. So I love it. But there's a free version. So you can try out the free version, fall in love with it like I did, and then pay like it's super cheap. So I highly recommend that. So can you share a little bit about what your professional vision is for your business?
Well, I think I'm actually in the process of sort of re-envisioning what that might be. I think for a long time I had what I called the 5-year plan, which was my business name is The Production House. And as you might imagine, I sort of envisioned it to be sort of a a place where you could have a team of people to serve you, whether it was photography, video, audio. And that's really shifted a lot for me in the past few years to where I really want to focus on working with brands that align with my vision and really telling their stories.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And that really has evolved from just getting out there doing it and really figuring out what feels right, for me.
Yeah. When you started your business or any part of your business, did you articulate like literally a business plan?
Yeah.
For you.
Yes. Yeah.
The businesses don't, but it's really important to have that roadmap.
Yes, it is. Yep. And I think you got to allow yourself that room to be able to change and evolve and realize that's okay.
It's all organic, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As we've learned in 2020, whatever the plans were, they were out the window.
Yeah.
And you need to be a little more flexible and, dare I say, the P word, and be able to pivot. But when you have your roadmap, you have a sense of context, right? And so then you can take that leap if you have to switch gears or whatever. So I'm all about the planning. Okay, so my last question is actually a series of questions. Are you ready?
I am ready.
What is your favorite flower?
A yellow rose, which I believe stands for friendship.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee. I'm not a tea person.
Would you rather visit Tahiti or Paris?
Tahiti for sure.
Okay. Are you an intention setter or goal getter?
I am a goal getter.
Yes. Good thing. And do you have a favorite quote you could share with us?
This too shall pass.
That's a good one. I say that to myself almost every day.
Yeah, right? And it literally, there's so much meaning in the whatever maybe 4 words there, but it just is so true. No matter what, it will pass.
Yeah. There's I think it's an old Nordic expression that's similar. Clouds move.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, this was a pleasure to spend this time with you to learn a little bit about who you are and your business. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dennise. And I just think you're the bomb. So I appreciate you asking me.
I think you're bomb too. So
you're awesome. So thank you. I appreciate it.